Hi, and welcome to the New Selling of Sales podcast. I'm your host, Marty Holmes. Our goal is to showcase many of the great talents found in professional sales and sales education. We're all dedicated to changing the way the world sees sales, and we're determined to raise awareness for this wonderful career. Join us as we chat with a variety of people with interesting stories who are helping SEF to elevate the sales profession. My guest today is Dr. Robert M. Peterson, and I know him as Rob. Rob and I've known each other for several years.
Well, thanks for using that name as opposed to some of the other things that might have been said over the years.
Well, now let me tell our audience a little bit about you, Rob. Okay.
Okay.
Rob is the Dean's Distinguished Professor of Sales at Northern Illinois University. He holds degrees from Indiana University, George Washington University, and the University of Memphis. Rob's been around. He's been the sales director at 2 universities, and he's a board member of the SEF for 15 years. He also sits on the board of advisors for the Sales Enablement Society. Dr. Peterson has completed the Second City Improv curriculum and earned the American Marketing Association 2002 Innovator Teacher Award. And he also has been, he's also recognized with the Innovative Sales Educator Award from the University Sales Center Alliance in 2006. And then in 2011, the Excellence in Teaching Award from the Sales SIG, which is part of the American Marketing Association. Rob's been very busy. He's also the editor of the Journal of Selling. He's published over 100 refereed conference papers, and he's had articles posted in a variety of journals. So today, I welcome you, Rob.
I'm exhausted after listening to that.
Those are some pretty big accomplishments.
I guarantee you, anybody who's probably listened to this podcast is in the same position where they're overextended. They're spinning so many plates on their stick.
Yeah.
But it's good to be with people who are making a difference. Thank you,
Yes.
Marty.
Oh, thank you, Rob, for being my guest. And just so everybody knows, today we're going to be talking about using improv to improve. So, Rob, let's start out by talking. How did you learn about using improv and that it could be a tool?
Well, I think for any sales rep who goes way back, they're improving every day. I mean, the customer can ask and request anything, and you've got to figure out, okay, what are they saying? What are they doing? What do you need to offer in return in order to keep the conversation going, or in the sales solution, they're looking for a solution. So, I did that for years before I went and earned my PhD, and I was in a sales class, and I was like, and really is this young lady came into my office. She said something about she was doing speed dating symposiums or whatever you want to call it for people. I was like, I don't know what that is. This is like 1999. It's like she explains it. I was like, oh, I like that. I like that idea totally. So I took that, changed as opposed to dating, I changed it to sales encounter questions to get the students motivated, to get the juices flowing, to get the energy in the room headed that way in the positive direction. And so we did that. They absolutely loved it, because I also sprinkled in some fun questions like, I showed up on the screen, says, who's a better dancer, you or the other person? Give proof. And so they had to think. Every question that came up, they didn't know. So I said, okay, we were kind of done with that part of the semester, and I needed to move forward. And they're like, no, we want that. It's like, all right, you guys, I've budgeted this amount of time. I'll tell you what, you guys come 10 minutes early to class. I'll do that up until they were all there, Marty.
Wow.
Okay. I snuck in fun things on them because that's what they really wanted. But then you snuck in the apple, the orange, the fruit into their lunch bag too. It's like, oh, so now here's the real pushback that a customer might say. It was a sales class. So that's kind of how it started. And so they looked forward to it. I knew that we're having fun, but B, we were getting repetition into how to respond to a sales encounter and a customer question.
And they were obviously enjoying it if you actually got them to come early.
I know, it was crazy. I walked in, the whole room was filled. I'm like, all right.
Now I got to do something.
Yes.
Okay. That's really interesting because I think salespeople may not realize that they actually are performing improv on a daily basis. You had this quote, and I'll reference back to a article that was actually in a couple of years ago in our annual magazine, and it was written by Stephanie Boyer, who was my last guest, and we talked about
Oh,
role
yeah.
playing. But you had this quote, and it says, "No one wakes up in the morning and is handed a script for the day. It is all about improvisation, but the goal is not to be funny, but valuable." I just think that says it all right there.
You know, one of the challenges, if people are listening to this and like, well, I'm not doing improv, because you're thinking that you have to be funny and it's just going to be hilarious. Well, if you go back to the root word, improv is not funny, but certainly if you have a good time with it, it can be funny. But if you want to go to impromptu, adaptive, and we'll probably talk about that. Yeah, there's no script in the day. You draw upon your experiences, you draw upon the intensity of the question, the body language, you're picking up all these cues, and then you have to fashion a response. Now, earlier in your sales career, those responses will be a little bit more halting, it won't be as smooth, but as you go through, life and your career, and you've seen these challenges before, you know how to help soothe, respond to the challenges. But yeah, you're right. You don't have a script that's handed to you at anywhere at any time. And I mentioned that with the college students that I work with. It's the, hey guys, I'm like, last time you're going to get PowerPoint slides and a 16-week outline. I said, welcome to graduation, where they're going to pay you money to be in a world that's not defined with PowerPoint slides. You might get an RFP, which are good. They'll pay the overhead. They're generally not going to make you a large, gross margin. But everything else is just like, what about this? What about that? The phone call, the email. You got to listen, adapt, collaborate, and take action in order to respond. So yeah, there's no script. You didn't give me a script for this, so we're flying by the seat of my pants here.
No script. I love just having the conversations that we've been having. So now I want to focus on this sentence that said you completed the Second City improv curriculum. I have no knowledge of that. So tell me about it.
All right, couple things. One is I moved back to. I was originally from Chicago, and I happened to move back here, a decade ago now. After I did my walkabout around the world, DC, where I was in sales, and then San Francisco, Japan, Memphis, and Portland, and Jersey, and I moved back here, and I was like, well, let's make the most of what can I get out of Chicago. And there's a place called Second City. If you don't know it, it is the mecca for improv, around the world. I mean, I had a student, another performer, what have you, whatever adjective you want to use, or noun. He flew from India, took his tourist visa, was allowed to stay 3 months, and just jammed all these classes in because he wanted to have it experience. And then he had to go back home, obviously. And I'm like, wow, this is really a draw. I mean, I'm driving in from the far suburbs, depending on traffic, an hour and 15 to 3 hours to go down there and hang. And so it's improv. It's over 60 years old. It was started by some students at the University of Chicago as a dinner club, and they just started playing. And it depends on your age. There's all kinds. I mean, you can do the Dan Aykroyds, and all kinds of Jim Belushi, and then the more recent Steve Carell, Amy Poehler, Tina Fey. They were all there. So it's an unbelievable. And I walk, there's murals and pictures, and I'm like, I'm here doing this curriculum, and they were here doing the curriculum, and they were on stage, and like, wow, is this energizing? So what you do is well, you pay your money, but they have you go through a sequence of A, B, C, D, E classes that meet every week for 3 hours, and you just start learning how to. And I've created my own approach, which is listen, adapt, collaborate, and take action. And I can explain that in a minute. But you're
Okay.
learning how to do that in an ensemble, as they call it, and it's invigorating. It's exhausting, but you then start to realize what everybody is thinking and doing and how they can support, in our situation, a scene. But certainly we can adapt that to our occupation, the sales, and what you're doing with customers, prospects, buyers, etc.
Very, very interesting. I recognize all the names that you threw out there. I know that my time in Ohio, Dave Chappelle was from a little town called Yellow Springs. And that was kind of the funky, artsy, about 30 minutes outside of Dayton that everybody would go to. And I think he wanted to start a comedy club there, and I think he may have. So,
that was the other thing that, obviously he's stand-up. They also had stand-up. So, I mean, and people just like, oh, they don't even know what improv is. Oh, like Saturday Night Live. It's like, yeah, like Saturday Night Live, only Saturday Night Live is sketch comedy. Improv is totally nothing. But, the nitty gritty doesn't matter. The fact that you're listening, adapting, collaborating, and taking action. Now, now that's what makes good improv. You have to listen to your scene partners. You're on stage. You got to listen to where they're going, what are they doing. Then you have to adapt to support the vision of where you're heading. You have to collaborate as a team so you can paint a picture in the audience's head that they're entertained with. And then you have to take action. You just can't sit there and just talk. You physically, you get involved, and the audience can see you taking the book out or hammering this down, and they're into the scene. Same thing. It's analogous to sales in a very high correlation. Certainly, you have to listen to your prospects and your customers. You have to adapt to what they're doing and saying. You have to collaborate with them and everybody around them in their buying center, and then you have to take action. You just can't, obviously, any salesperson knows they always have to gently nudge / move the process along.
Right.
So like good improv, I mean, if you went like to see improv, and you paid your money to enter, you paid for your overpriced drinks, but you want to be entertained. If you see somebody up there just arguing with one another, like, I can get that at home, right? I don't need to pay for that. And pay. So if you look at what makes a good scene up there, I'm paying you to entertain me. Again, listen, adapt, collaborate, take action. It's the same thing in sales. I need you as a buyer. I need you to listen to me. I need you to adapt with me. I need you to collaborate with me on this and educate me. And then I need some type of action. You as a buyer, me as a seller, both have to make commitments and move the process along to get to the finish line. And we've fixed, avoided, or accomplished something together.
That's fascinating and so true. Listen, adapt, collaborate, take action. I guess that's the acronym for that is LACT.
I didn't even think of that. Maybe I should look at it.
I wrote it down, and I don't know. My head goes towards acronyms. I'm like, LACT, LACT.
All right, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. Adaptability training. That's another thing that you mentioned. Can you get further into that?
Sure. So again, it depends on your audience. If I'm with my student audience, I just call it improv, freaks them out, and they all think they have to be funny. I'm like, all right, fine, be uncomfortable. But with corporate folks, they like to be less uncomfortable. It's adaptability, and they're like, well, yeah, I'm adaptive. If you say, were you good at improv? Like, if you've ever seen Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, I love that show.
Phenomenal show. You watch those people up there, and you're like, oh my goodness. I mean, they crank out a song. Wayne Brady just crank. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Song. And so everybody thinks you have to be hilarious and funny. It's like, no, we just need you to listen, adapt, collaborate, take action. Okay, can we do that? So, it's a lot of the same things that going back to what I did originally. You got to let them have fun. but then you got to throw in some of the role playing, the formalized role playing, or the lessons learned. So in one of my classes I'm teaching, when we get to the voicemail, and again, these kids don't even know that you can do this on a phone. That all they know is, this. I said, do you leave voicemails? Do you listen to voicemails? Not, well, only from, my mom, because she's paying for my phone. I'm like, good idea. So they have no idea. So we're going to hit that curriculum in the semester. It says, all right, you've been exposed to it. You're supposed to read it. You're supposed to come here ready to go. We're going to practice on different voicemails. We need to identify ourselves and, burn some type of excitement / fear in them, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And then some value prop, and then again, call to action. Somehow you got to do that in 35 seconds or less, right? So they're like, oh, we got this. So I start them out with something fun. And I don't know if I want to do this to you, Marty, because you're a mature woman, but you got 30 seconds to go. And all I'm going to say is beep, and then you start talking. I'm like, well, what's the thing? I says, are you guys ready? I'm going to say beep, and you start talking to your partner. It says,
Beef.
Leave your 30 beep, like beep. A phone. Beep, sorry. Leave your 30-second breakup voicemail. Beep. And they have to go. And they're like, ah! You get a lot of, it's not you, it's me. We've drifted, whatever. And then I do another one, a totally different one. And then I hit them with a third one, and I say, you're a sales rep calling on behalf of Mobile GPS, and you're leaving a voicemail for Michael Beard. Total the role play that they have to do that semester. And they should be ready for this. Beep. They just crumble. They certainly had a lot of fun when they were doing their breakup. And then there's another one that's still a warm up. And then I hit them with the real one. And then but then I got them. Then they know that, they're educated people, and it was a total and complete failure. And they're like, oh, I said, so do I have your attention? Do you want to learn the art of a voicemail? And good. Now, I could tell them that, but until they experience, they don't know what's going to happen. And then they have to live it themselves. They're like, oh, all right, this is fun. I'll buy in. Where you want to take me now, Dr. P? And off we go.
Yeah.
So let me do that with you. Not the voicemail, but let me do this one. This is another one. We do them weekly in class, sometimes two, to get a little energy going, get them thinking, because you'll notice your senses are all on fire. So we're going to do the you want the easy one or the harder one?
Oh boy, what am I getting myself into? I guess I'd better start with the easy one.
Okay, good. Because I'm not going to do that. You're going to do the hard one.
Oh.
The easy one's fun, and it gets a little zany, but I think for the audience, they would like to hear this one.
Okay.
I'm going to start with a sentence. Whatever the last letter is and the last word that I use in the sentence, it has to start the first letter, the first word in your sentence. If I said the last letter, so if it's certainly a wonderful day today, you've got a Y, and you've got to throw it up there. You're right. It's absolutely sunny and beautiful, high of 85. E. Excellent. And that could be the end of it. So that's how this drill goes. So you're listening, grabbing the last letter, making the next sentence go, and continuing on with a coherent conversation. So,
all right, I'll try.
Marty, absolute pleasure being on your show today.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate you taking your time out from your crazy busy schedule.
Everyone loves to talk about improv. Maybe, I don't know.
Everyone? I don't know about that. You may have some students who are those real introverts. And what are you going to do with them?
You used the first letter, or you didn't use the last. I said, I don't know, which was a W.
No,
but this is okay, because look, you're laughing now. And that's what this is. There's no valence. Everybody's like, they're so nervous, but after a while, everyone's like, well, everybody's not making mistakes. And these mistakes are not costing you anything except laughter.
Right.
If you create a safe space for everybody, like I tell them, like, if you don't do a face plan, then you're being too guarded. Enjoy this. No one's recording this, or it's not. There's no money on the line. You don't have a quarterly quota you're meeting, so let's go in and jump in.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mistakes you make are then celebrated, and we laugh because 5 minutes later someone else is, you're gonna just like and that's the fun.
And it just shows them that it's okay to make mistakes.
Correct.
It's okay to not be perfect.
Yeah.
And
that's the mantra is be comfortable being uncomfortable.
yeah.
And to me, as as a salesperson for so many years, you got used to like, okay, I can't control that, or like, oh, I was in charge of that and I blew it. You can't blow it all the time or you're not gonna have a job, but
That's true.
They need to get comfortable with growing, making mistakes. I mean, the old thing from Edison, he says, well, it didn't take me, I didn't fail, I think he said 2,000 or 10,000 times. He says, that was just every one of the steps that it took to make the light bulb. It's like, yeah, you're not going to be perfect walking out the door. So if you try this and do this, I mean, you can certainly do this with any, I mean, I had just had a former student send me a LinkedIn message and says, hey, I was talking to my boss about this, and she wants you to, to come do this for us in our weekly meetings. And I was like, all right, we'll cross that bridge. And I don't know how far your meetings are from where I am, but we can certainly do it. And I've successfully done almost every single one of these things online in breakout rooms using the Zoom technology you're using today. And believe it or not, there are some things that you can do online that you can't easily do in person, but certainly being in person and truly feeling that energy and truly laughing together at yourself is part of part of the growth, part of the
I was just going to say part of the growth.
Listen, adapt, collaborate, take action.
Yeah. I talk to a lot of people. I've been doing nothing but virtual meetings for about 4.5 years now. And so I was pretty comfortable when COVID hit and everything shut down. And I've talked to a lot of people who really had difficulty transferring themselves from being in person at a meeting to being online. And I think that is going to be a skill that needs mastering. Hey, you know what? Hold on. I have mine too.
Nice. We didn't script any of this, obviously. And the fact that we're going to end with this because I wanted to make sure everybody knows that it's not, I mean, this is what the main part of what I'm trying to do in the sales courses, in the trainings that I do, why some of the companies have me come out. But there's the shift, the change, it's not just in the moment and I'm on stage.
Right.
But there's also a cultural part where another phenomenal book, and in fact, I grabbed it in order to
yes, and
it's not so much teaching you, hey, how to improv, but it's teaching the cultural part of how do we make our company better, stronger, faster in order to support people's ideas. It's not that you don't pick apart something that needs to be picked apart, but the first response should be, no, that won't work. No, that won't work. No, we tried that. Do a yes and try to improve what we call the offering. Somebody offers you in a scene, somebody offers you something, and then you try to build on it. And so the other thing that was said at Second City, don't bring a brick, not a cathedral. So when you come to the scene and you're trying to create something with the department, with your sales managers, don't come in with the full friggin' Monty that you've got to adopt this or it's not going to work. This is my plan. You start building on something and you can bring the expertise. Obviously, it takes a little bit longer, but and I've had these people tell me, that some of the challenge was for the more mature sales reps is this wholesale change where they were effective
Mhm.
with the customers face to face, and now that's been taken away from them, and they're having to shift to fully online. They don't know how to use Zoom. They don't know the technology. Everyone, not just young and old, everyone had a shift between, if I would have come to see you, we would have had a meeting, we would have talked, I would have asked about the kids and then your vacation. On our way out, we would have had, walking me to the elevator or the parking lot, we would have said something else. All lost now. As
Yeah,
soon as we hit leave, it's gone. So we get more content rich or content focused, maybe not rich, content focused on the problems at hand. And we leave out a lot of the human element, that connection, that bond, that which equates to trust and
excellent.
reliability. So that's missing. And part of that is being adaptive to understand that the world's changed.
Yeah.
And I love that book. No spiff to me. I'm not getting any override. But if you're a reader or a listener,
Mhm.
Yes and is a book you would definitely want to pick up if you're in charge of supporting a cultural richness in your team or
Fascinating.
yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Self-improvement's a big thing as well. Just improving your ability and your technique to think on your feet, to adapt. That's kind of where that I guess it's still prevalent, but the thing about agility,
Yeah,
adaptability, it's pretty
yeah,
much the same thing.
yeah.
You've got to listen to what the person that you're talking with is saying, and you really have to hear them, because many times, what I hear is that a lot of the students nowadays have a question series, and they go through their question,
Oh
and
yes.
if you mess it up,
Oh no. Yeah.
then they don't know what to do.
Wait, I'm following my script. I'm following my script. And now you
Yeah,
just said this. Was I supposed to actively listen to what you said because you gave me better information than the one I thought I should have written down as a question?
yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm battling every day. And guess what? It doesn't matter if they're college students learning about sales for the first time, or anybody knows. If you're
Hmm.
25, 35, I guarantee you there's some sales managers you're going to listen to is like, oh my God, yes. Oh my, that's yes. I got the same problem.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I forgot, we didn't debrief that little fun exercise that we did,
Oh,
that
yes.
that it forced you to listen to my whole sentence,
Hmm.
find out what the last letter was, then you have to start it with that, all on the fly. So again, talking about listen, adapt, collaborate. Um, uh, and most time, as most human beings, unfortunately, I think sales reps might be a little bit better on average, but still scary. We're done listening, and when we have a response and an answer, oh yeah, I got that. Oh, I know what I can say. Oh yeah, yeah. Many
Hmm.
people have asked the same thing. It forces you to stop, shut your mouth, and go to the end, because you don't know what I'm going to say, do, or what's going to come out of my mouth. So it's a great exercise, and it makes
Hmm.
people stop. Again, you can't do this one hit wonder, rip the Band-Aid off and never come back. I used to
Right.
go down there weekly, and I would just experience so much. Like, I would take notes. I was taking all kinds of them. That's like a great idea. I was pumping it right back into class that the very same week. What if I change? I'll change this to a business situation. We're going to do this
Uh-huh.
voicemail. We're going to do this. There's another thing called director's cut that I love. There's another one that I just created from scratch after listening to another thing where they're trying to get this person's attention. So they're all over him. These two people are competing against this one person for their attention, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what I crafted. And it's like, okay, this is what your buyer feels like when two people out in the marketplace are just say and do
Mm-hmm.
anything in order to get your attention. So how do you feel? And so that's part of the debrief. The debrief is huge, because you connect each lesson into a business setting. So that's why people love it, and they actually are willing to play and come
Yeah.
back, because you
Yeah.
had some fun, you connected back to the sales world, and you're like, oh, all right, I can do
Hmm.
better at that. But the
Hmm.
cool thing is, when you're on own ensemble, your own team, the cool thing is it's the residue. So I leave, and they're still talking about that, or still using that,
Hmm.
or still, oh yes, and somebody's not agreeing. Oh yes, and just like, don't be bitter, don't be bitter. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, whether it be a adaptability technique or a adaptability yes and. It's
Hmm.
for how do you support and change a culture within the sales organization or any organization that you're involved in. So that's what I
Well,
get to do. It's a fun
hey,
time.
yeah, yeah. No wonder you're always smiling. You've got such a great job, and you do it so well. I
One
just
thing is
hope,
it doesn't cost any money, Marty. I mean, you could go to a movie, you could go to
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
but we would put together each week, or the instructor would, 3 hours of one game after another, and you're popping in and out of scenes, you're listening, you're adapting. It doesn't work at home. The wife doesn't like improv. So no improv at home. But
Try it if you dare is your advice to the listener today. Try it if you dare.
yes.
Well, this has been so fascinating and really interesting. And I hope what our listeners and viewers will take out of this is a little piece that they can incorporate either into their sales courses for those that are educators, or into their sales team meetings, and really perhaps help everyone to be just a little bit better at listening and thinking on their feet. It's that adaptability that we all need more of. I'm going to give
I
you
love
one
it.
back. Woo woo.
That's
Give you
it.
one back. Hey, yeah, I love these. These were so cool. I've used them before.
Well, it's a pleasure being on here talking about things that I think will help people reach their goals, hit quota, make more money.
Yeah.
But it can be as skill building, but it also can be a lot of fun because you can make up we all know kind of charades, but this is a
Yeah.
form of, you can make up, and I've got, tens of, 100, 200 games that I've twisted into business things. You're like, well, that was fun. What can we do next? Like this and that. It's like,
Yeah.
hey guys, we're done. We got to go. No, we got to go work. Like we've skill built. Now we got to go deploy.
You're getting people excited. And when someone's excited about anything, whatever it is they're doing, then they want to do more and they want to learn more. So yeah, your students are lucky to have you for sure.
Thank you, Marty. Thanks for saying that.
All right. Thank you for being my guest today. And I guess everyone, we'll see you next time with another interesting person who is elevating sales. Thanks.